Hey guys, we gotta talk. It's come to Jesus time. Okay. Um, Sorry, I'm a little flustered. One of the first things I do in the morning is, like my alarm goes off on my phone and I don't really want to get up, so I have to stare at the wall for a little bit. And one of the things I do is I check my YouTube account on my phone and I look at my subscription videos, and that's really when I get to watch you guys' videos. And Our Pagan Opinions, it looks like this week is tackling abortion, which I absolutely commend them for. Thank God we can have a conversation about something substantial. Um, Karaseen is the Monday host. She posted a really good video expressing her opinion, and I have to reply because I was writing these comments on her video, and then I was just like, these comments are too long, and I'm not being as articulate as I want to be. Oh God, oh God. So I'm just going to make a video response, and I want to comment first of all because I'm sure all kinds of feelings are going to be riled up over the course of the next week as they post these videos, and you should totally check out their channel because they're all a bunch of really cool people. But this is in response not only to her video but also to many of her comments. Like I've said before in my videos, I want to preface this. This is not an attack on Karaseen or Our Pagan Opinions or any of the people who posted comments. In my mind, YouTube is about starting a conversation, and this is a conversation, okay? So this isn't me being like, you guys are all wrong and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I mean this very, very respectfully, but I feel like some of these things have to be said. It is so problematic to equate a movement away from being pro-choice to being anti-choice. I refuse to say pro-life because the implication of pro-life is that people who support a woman's right to choose are somehow anti-life. Like, yes, abortion's for all, death, death, death. And I've got a serious problem with that. So it's not pro-life in my universe. It is anti-choice because that's what they are. It is so very problematic to equate a gradual shift from being pro-choice to being anti-choice to maturity. That is so problematic. And Karaseen does it, and at least one of her commenters does it. And they're talking about themselves, and I totally respect that. And if that's how they feel, that's awesome. But to equate it with maturity, which I don't know that they necessarily mean to do, but that's what was said. I mean, I think if we think about it, we can hear what the implications of that statement are. That as you get old, as a woman gets older, especially after she matures and has children, she comes to see the sacredness of life and no longer thinks that abortion is something. It's some kind of violation of the sacred order of things. I'm sorry. No. But that's anti-choice, evangelical, Protestant, Christian America right there, masking itself as paganism. I'm not saying that they're not pagan or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is one of those instances where I think American Protestantism creeps into other religious traditions without us necessarily being aware of it. So, for example, one thing that Karaseen said, which I did comment on her video, was that she didn't believe it was possible for women to have abortions and come out sane. Sane was her word. And she talked about physical effects and psychological effects and emotional effects. That's anti-choice. That's anti-choice propaganda right there. There's no scientific evidence whatsoever that abortion affects a woman psychologically or emotionally necessarily. I'm not saying that it doesn't sometimes. Of course it does. Of course it does. Especially if you're put in the kind of situation where you have to have an abortion and you don't believe in abortion. Then of course it is going to have psychological, emotional effects, okay? But to say that those things happen necessarily is false. And I would bet that more people in your lives have had abortions than you realize. Just to say that it always affects everyone assumes that all women who have abortions talk about it and publish about it and tell you about it, and that simply isn't the case. I'd be willing to bet that there are women in your life who've had abortions who simply have not told you. And if they have told you, I'd be willing to bet that they have not necessarily shared their deepest, darkest feelings about it with you. Okay, so to say that it necessarily has an effect, I'm here to tell you that it is more than possible for it to not have an effect. Okay? And I wish that more women who had had abortions or who have had experiences with abortion would come out and say that. I think a lot of it is fear. We're told that having an abortion makes you a slut. Having an abortion makes you it makes you a bad person. So I think a lot of women who have them don't talk about it. And you know what? Sometimes there are no psychological or emotional effects whatsoever, other than just being tired and sick the next day. Oh, so, yeah, you might notice this is a little different than my other videos, but this is something that I'm so passionate about. I'm trying not to turn this into a huge feminist thing. That's how I identify, that's how I think you should identify. I'd call myself a radical feminist at that, and this is just one of those issues, I think, built into this idea that, you know, as people mature, they become, you know, less and less inclined to get abortions, is rooted the idea that adult women, mature women, realize that it's their job to have babies. And I know that that's not what Karaseen is saying. I know that's not what her commenters are saying, but that's the implication. And I'm here to tell you that that implication comes from a wider cultural trope that's rooted in a particular kind of Protestant Christianity. It's the same no, I'm not going to go there. Sorry. Okay. So, had to say something. Yeah, I just have to recover. You know what? Like, yeah. Sorry. This is really dear to me. This topic is very important to me, because I've been a victim of domestic abuse, and I've witnessed friends who've been through the same kind of situations. I've had to deal with rape. It is so much more complicated than you just getting older, having a family, and deciding that, you know, maybe abortion is unnatural. That's the other thing. And I don't want to go too much into this because this is its own video. But the concept of naturalness is also, it also comes out of these particular kinds of tropes. And the idea that humans and human activities are somehow unnatural is really strange, because we're every bit as nature as wolves and moss and anemones. I mean, humans are animals, humans are nature, humans perform abortion, therefore abortion is natural. That's kind of my logic there. And again, that's its own video, and feel free to dive in, because like I said, this is a conversation. But, you know, like, maybe other animals, maybe like no one can think of other animals that willfully abort, but it's like you said, Karaseen, I mean, a lot of animals eat their young, and we don't necessarily do that, so, like, where's the nature? I don't know, so problematic. And again, I totally respect her opinion, okay? I'm not going to criticize anyone for that, because I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I had to point out there's just these classic little blips of anti-choice, this is where it comes from, this is why I think we think that kind of information. It's just, okay. So, before I have an aneurysm, and I really hope other people will participate in this, because this is such an important subject, and something that I think a lot of people don't talk about because we don't want to offend anyone, okay? And Well, you know what? Neo-paganism doesn't say anything about abortion, okay? There's no official document that we can turn to tell us what to think. And yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to say that. So just to sum up, in case you couldn't gather from my horse rant, I am extremely pro-choice to my dying breath, pro-choice. And that covers what Karaseen called oops moments, okay? Because I get what you're saying. You're right. Abortion should not be a form of birth control. But having a child also should not be a penalty for being young and stupid. And I mean, I think everyone should have access to abortion at all times for all circumstances. And just period. And you know what? I'm a mature, experienced adult too. Like, I just, that linking it to maturity, not just her, but people in her comments, so problematic. So problematic. Okay, Oliver tells me I'm done now, and I'm losing my voice, and I'm going to be late for class. But